Hey, Scoville here. Hello, everyone, and a special hello to people who are eating something right now. I hope whatever you are eating is spicy to go along with these spicy includes for your commander decks. Number 1, Martyr's Bond. For 4 generic and 2 white mana, you get an enchantment with whenever Martyr's Bond or another non-land permanent you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a permanent that shares a card type with it. There are effects like this in black, but you don't often see mono-white aristocrats effects. If you're in black-white aristocrats, this can be an extra copy of those effects, but if you got an off-the-wall mono-white deck, this might be just the piece you need to lock down the board. I'm considering it for my Lurrus of the Dream Den deck, since that tends to recur a lot of permanents with powerful sacrifice abilities. Numero dos, Martyred Rusala. For 1 white mana, you get a 1/1 spirit creature with the ability pay 1 white mana and sacrifice a creature. Target creature can't attack this turn. Back on that mono-white aristocrats theme. But even without that, if you've got a tokens deck that's pumping out creatures, you can stop some unnecessary damage from coming your way. Or you can gain some favor at the table and stop a big hit on an opponent. Numero 3. This one came up in the comments of another video. Rootwater Matriarch. For 2 generic and 2 blue mana, you get a 2/3 merfolk with tap. Gain control of target creature as long as that creature is enchanted. I'm thinking this would be a great card in a Zur the Enchanter deck, since you could tutor up auras from your deck to put on creatures you want to steal. Numero 4, Soul Transfer. For 1 generic and 2 black mana, you get a sorcery with choose 1. If you control an artifact and an enchantment as you cast this spell, you may choose both. Exile target creature or planeswalker, or return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. If you're in an enchantment theme in black, this is a great piece of removal and recursion. Most of the time you'll be running mana rocks for ramp anyway, so the enchantment part is the thing that you're less likely to find in an average deck. Notably, this checks on cast if you have those 2 permanent types, so someone can't remove one of those pieces in response to you casting this to force you to only choose one mode. Nummer 5, Caves of Chaos Adventurer. For 3 generic and 1 red mana, you get a 5/3 human barbarian with trample, and when it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. And whenever it attacks, exile the top card of your library. If you've completed a dungeon, you may play that card this turn without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, you may play that card this turn. This is a great little piece of potential ramp and card draw. Or card advantage, not card draw. Notably, you can play the card, not just cast, which means if you hit a land off the top, you can play it for your turn. I think this would be a good piece in Isshin 2 Heavens as 1 deck because you'd get to double up on that attack trigger. Number 6, Into the Core. 2 generic and 2 red mana for an instant that exiles 2 target artifacts. I know there are some of you out there who run Liquimetal Torque and Liquimetal Coating to turn stuff into artifacts just so you can hit it with artifact-specific removal just like this, so this one's for you. Number 7, Emerald Dragon. For 4 generic and 2 green mana, you get a 4/4 dragon with flying and trample. But it also has an adventure. Dissonant Wave is an instant for 2 generic and 1 green mana that counters target activated or triggered ability from a non-creature source. Mono green obviously needs more counterspells. This might seem restrictive at first, but think about what this hits. You can stop Aetherflux Reservoir, or an equipment from being equipped. You could even stop the infinite combo from Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood at just the right time. Number 8, Liege of the Tangle. For 6 generic and 2 green mana, you get an 8/8 elemental creature with trample, and whenever Liege of the Tangle deals combat damage to a player, you may choose any number of target lands you control and put an awakening counter on them. Each of those lands is an 8/8 green elemental creature for as long as it has an awakening counter on it. They're still lands. This was a finisher and a kitchen table 60-card deck my best friend had when we first got into Magic, and I think it could use some love. Does it make you a bit vulnerable to board wipes? Yes. But in the right deck, that might not be awful. Maybe you want to wipe the board of all non-land permanents, since your big elementals still retain their land typing, and now that the board is clear, you've got an army to do lethal damage. Number 9, Dream Salvage. For 1 Dimir mana that can be either blue or black, you get an instant with draw cards equal to the number of cards target opponent discarded this turn. I'm very tired, so you'll have to break this one in the comments. Finally, number 10. Number 10, I like number 10. It's Mist Intruder. For 1 generic and 1 blue mana, you get a 1/2 Eldrazi drone with Devoid. so it's colorless, even though colored mana was spent on it. Flying, and ingest, which means that whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of their library. I know some people out there have decks that care about cheap flying creatures, and I thought this was a great card because although incremental, that ingest ability does remove pieces from your opponent being able to play them. I won a draft game once because of some incidental mill that I had in my deck that prevented my opponent from having access to some of their haymakers since they didn't have graveyard recursion. That's all for today. I hope that this list sparked some spicy deck ideas for you or gave you pieces to spice up your existing ones. Let me know in the comments below.